This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with SB Sports in Chaco. We're delighted to be joined by a new guest, obviously, that we haven't interviewed before, Frankie Luzoho. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
We'll,
you
we'll,
did. Yeah, you got.
we'll
Gotta
claim
make
a
sure the
vic-
second.
we'll claim a victory on that one, but obviously, firstly, I always want to say it's a privilege to obviously have you on and have a chat. I think I've interviewed over 100 people now, sort of 230 interviews, but it's always great to get someone on new for the first time. I've obviously followed your career, probably a good portion of your pro career so far, and it's sometimes then getting that understanding. We see your posts, we see your fights, but it's sometimes
Yeah,
the person behind the fighter sometimes that people forget. So anybody that
yeah.
sort of bring on for the first time sort of like to find out obviously much more in behind sort of boxing things like that. So what age did you start boxing and I guess probably more than anything, why you get involved in such a dangerous sport?
Funny enough, it was at the time I was playing football. So at the time I was playing with Forest Shamrock Rovers under I think it was the youth academy. Anyways, I was playing for them, and we were playing football. It was outside of training anyway, so it was kind of a school thing. We were playing football in the yard as we always do before classes start. You know the troublemakers. We don't want to do the homework, but we want to play football. So we were kind of playing in the yards, and bear in mind the yard was concrete, and I got a 2 foot tackle by someone because it was rough back in those days. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I avoided the tackle, but in the way I avoided the tackle, I landed on my two knees, which tore my quad. And with that, I was out for 3 months. I couldn't play football. I couldn't walk properly. I was on crutches most of the time. So it was a very kind of, how you say, depressing and hard moment for me. It was kind of the first thing I ever had to face that tested me as a man. But in that process, I don't know if it was a divine intervention. I think that's when the YouTube ads first appeared, and I was watching a football game of Ronaldinho trying to perfect my game once I came back from injury. I didn't want to let myself, get down on the injury, so I said, let me look up techniques how to perfect myself because I want to come back with a fury. And I'm watching a few clicking, 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 and I'm not getting motivated from these clips. I'm just watching, watching, watching. Then I ended up seeing someone called Roy Jones Jr. and I clicked onto his fight highlights, and two videos for me stuck out. One when he walked out for one of his fight entrances. He walked out with a suit, dancing with entourage behind him, his own music, which I was like, what is this? Someone walking out with a suit, boxing glove, enjoying life, happy. And then the second was when he did a move I call a chicken dance. Anyways, when he had his hand behind his back, slipped on both sides and came back and knocked his opponent out with a left hook. So those are the two moments that stuck out for me and made me want to say, "Wow, what is this?" And I ended up watching Roy Jones Jr., Sugar Ray Leonard, Robert Duran, Muhammad Ali. Went into their backstories, watched documentaries, and I was hooked. I think I started watching those videos around 10:30 in the morning. Didn't get off the laptop until about 5:30 that night. I was pure glued in the sitting room, lights, curtains all closed off. Nobody came in the sitting room. Anyone that came in, I told them to get out. And I just kept watching and watching and watching. And I said to myself, wow. And I felt the fire in me say, let's go. And I got that motivation. I wasn't down anymore. I was motivated to say, right, after watching those videos, I started doing push-ups. It was painful trying to do
Mhm.
push-ups with a torn leg. But I was like, no, let me try, let me push. So I started doing push-ups. I really started trying to work with my leg, trying to heal it, trying to massage it, did everything possible to kind of speed up the process of healing my leg. And sooner or later, I got there in the end. And then from there, I decided to go to my first boxing gym, which was Arbor Boxing Hill.
Mhm.
And from there, I walked into my first clubs, hit my first bag, um, skip the first time, shadow box the first time, spar the first time, and never looked back since.
I guess it's sort of one of them things, when your injury obviously in football and picking up obviously just on the off chance in boxing, to then going into a gym, and thinking you're Roy Jones Jr. or Muhammad Ali straight away, the realization
Yeah.
the realization comes back very quickly and going, this isn't as easy as it looks.
You know what? Funny enough, when I walked into the Arbor Hill, right, because I watched everything, how to skip, how to shadow box, feet work drills. I'm a person that likes to really prepare themselves mentally. So I always have, for each exercise, I really dive into that exercise and see what's the beneficial, what's the way to shadow box, what's the best way to shadow box. People say you close your hands or you open your hands. I find it now, Andre was saying it's better to have your hands open when you're shadow boxing, and then you have other legends that say it's better, like Robert Duran saying it's better to have your hands closed when you're shadow boxing. So I really dove into kind of the art form of boxing. So when I stepped into Arbor Hill, first thing when I started skipping, as everyone knows, you always start off skipping. And I already learned how to do all these crazy double crosses, jumps, the round the world, everything on the skipping, and the coach. That's what kind of made the coach look at me and say, "Wow, uh, and that's the first time I ever touched the rope. So I just went straight into it. Start because I already had natural ability. You know what I mean? I was a very skinny kid, very athletic. I could jump. I was fast. So it was kind of like second nature to me when I kind of walked into the gym. My feet work wasn't too bad. My hands needed a bit of work, obviously, but the skipping wise, feet work wise, and the speed of my hands, most of it, majority of it came naturally to me. So it wasn't too bad because I did a lot of research to kind of prepare me because I wanted to impress when I walked into the gym. So I walked in and then the coach took a liking to me and said, "Look, you have something there, kid. You know what I mean? Let's get to work. If you want to start straight away, if you want to start competing and all this, let me know now." When he said that, a lot of people would be like, "Ooh, competing now, Jesus. I don't want to get my head punched in now." Do you know what I mean? But when he said that, my eyes twinkled. I goes, 100% I want to compete. Didn't think twice, didn't even think about the dangers of boxing. I was just like, no, if we're gonna do it, let's go, let's go. And then from there, he kind of told me about sparring as well. Because in the moment, I didn't know about sparring. That's the funny thing is, I didn't know. When you get into a fight, you have to spar. I thought you train first and then go into a fight, and then that's when I got that rude awakening. Say, "Whoa, this ain't easy." Because when I jumped into sparring, I had I didn't know the materials you had to wear, what shoes you had to wear. I knew about gum shields because I seen fighters had like when you fought had gum shields. But so I had a bleeding jacket on, a massive jacket on, not a massive jacket, but one of those big jackets, like me flimsy kind of jackets. Nobody told me, "Oh, you want to kind of let your skin breathe because if you heat up too much, the room's gonna start spinning." Well, I didn't know that. So I had the jacket on. I'm moving like hectic. You know how first time spars are. You're
Mm-hmm.
trying to avoid the punches before you throw the punch, slipping left, right, and center. And I was a very good head mover at the time. So it was relatively easy enough to kind of avoid punches at first. That was the first round. I didn't know there was a couple of more rounds I had to do. So I thought I was fucking great the first round. I did. Came the second round. That's when I started feeling the stamina. I was like, Jesus Christ, why am I sweating more? This guy's not sweating, but I'm sweating. I goes, God, give me strength. So then, out of nowhere, I felt the sharp punch to the stomach. Right, I was like, what the hell did he just do to me? Because I seen him fake a jab upstairs. He threw a right hand downstairs to my stomach, and I felt the sharp sting go all the way to my body. And I was like, oh, why is my legs not moving? Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
recover and get breath. And then he stood back, threw a right hand over the top, and caught me on the forehead. When I tell you, the room was spinning. The room was spinning. That is the first time in my whole life that I actually got stung from a punch, and it made me say, "What is going on?" And I just went to fight or flight mode, and I started helicoptering, throwing every certain shots. I thought I was going to do a leg kick as well at the same time. It was like a street fight for me in a way, but I still maintain the discipline of just keeping it at punches, not having them in a headlock or biting, or do you know what I mean? So for that, that was one of my most memorable moments. I can never forget. That set me on the course to say I love the sport. Do you know what I mean? So it's mad.
I guess it's one of them sometimes where it's, people with a great ambition. Like you probably see people coming into the gym and then they have the first spar and they get punched in the nose and they're like, no, no, this isn't for me. Did you find, obviously, whenever you were getting punched in the forehead and getting punched in the stomach, you were actually going, it didn't hurt me, or this is actually great, and it gives you such more of a buzz where you're going, do it again, where you nearly don't want to throw a punch and going, hit me again. It's probably that wire that's mixed in a boxer's head where they're going, I want to feel somebody hit me in the chin. I want to go through all this to see if I actually really have
Yeah.
it. And that burning desire just keeps pushing you on, and it's like, no, no, I'm not getting hit now. I'm going to hit the other person.
Oh, it's crazy. That's why they always say boxers, amateurs or professionals, we have a screw loose. We're not well.
Mm.
You know what I mean? We gotta agree. We're not well because you have to be mad to do this sport. To go in, fight an 8 ounce, 10 ounce, whatever. Do you know what I mean? To say it's guaranteed you're gonna get hit. You're gonna get hit. So to go in and test your grit, your metal against another man that's trying to get head off and trying to getting caught at the same time. He's getting caught at the same time. It's a weird adrenaline. It's not even it's a weird adrenaline. It's a weird rush. Like you're trying to get the better of another man, but in the same time you're getting caught with shots and you're like, wow, like that shot hurt, but I can take that shot. I can keep going. You know what I mean? And it's like a trial of fire for yourself every single time you step in the ropes to spar or to even fight. Majority for me, it's when I step into when I actually fight when it's put down on the record, and it's like a testing yourself every single time when you beat that person, next person, beat that person, next person, and it's a trial of fire, and it's like you pin everything you've gone through in life, the trials, the tribulations, the adversity you have to face in life, and it's like every single one of those punches you're getting from your opponent is literally trying to say, "I'm trying to break you down. I'm trying to put you in a position where you don't pick yourself up. I'm trying to make you say I quit, or I'm trying to make you say this is not for me." But every time you get hit, that fire builds more and more, and then you're just like, "Yeah, come on, let's go, let's go." Okay, round one is done. Next round, let's go again. Round two is done. Round three, let's go again. And it's just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Life is hitting me. Now it's my chance to hit you back even harder. Let's go. This is for annoying me. This is for putting me through this. This is for this and that. And it's beautiful. I love it. It's amazing.
It's a crazy sport, as you say, you do have to have a screw loose. Were you good at the football? Like what stage then did you decide that football was second fiddle then to boxing? Did it? I guess it probably took a period of time because when you have a passion probably for one sport, probably like me, you probably dreamed as a kid you wanted to be a professional footballer and make loads and loads of money, and then you sort of go, oh, actually, I like this sport better instead. At what stage then did football become second fiddle to boxing?
It's funny enough because like you said, I had like for me any sport I entered when I even did rugby, I did the guy, I did everything, even the athletics. I always gave them my 110%. So when it came to football, and I looked up to the likes of Ronaldinho, Roberto Carlos, Cannavaros, the Puyols, the legends of the sport. I always had an ambition to be a legend, and seeing those people and what they achieved, I felt like I was good enough. I felt like I had to work rate. You know what I mean? I was more like a see some park, like you couldn't get rid of me. I'd be on your ass 24/7 till I get the ball back, and then from there, pass it on, and then I work. So it was a workhorse, and I felt like I could go a long way in the sport because I was decent enough. You know what I mean? But because of the injury, and that's football. Because of the injury that I sustained from playing in the yard that tore my quad, my leg was never the same. No matter how much I gave it, no matter how much I trained or pushed myself in the sport, when you're running for almost 90 minutes in football, it takes a toll on your legs because majority you're kicking, you're running. So the impact of the leg kept on affecting my leg. But also, I think it played a psychological part where I didn't want to get tackled anymore because I knew how long it took me to come back from that injury. You know what I mean? 3 to 4 months, and you're constantly battling with meat on your legs that is full of blood, and the only thing you can do is allow it to, like any scar in the hand, is to heal, scab. Once the scab is strong enough, break down the scab, get the flexibility back in, and that takes months upon months, and that's what scared me. So I was afraid of getting tackled. I was afraid to kind of go into tackles. So I never went back into football the same person I was because I was fearless. They used to call me the Black Cannavaro because I didn't care. I was running. Once you see me coming 90 miles per hour, you know to either jump out of the way or you're bleeding, getting your legs broken. You know what I mean? I'd say I have more red cards than anything. You know what I mean? I was always a physical kind of person. Like I was one of those players. If the manager told me, Francie, you're on this bastard for the whole thing. Sorry for cursing. I'm there. I'm in his face 24/7. He's not going past me. He's not going anywhere. And when I came back and I seen I couldn't do that anymore, and I hate to say it, like the passion for that sport wasn't the same. And every time I kicked or every time I ran, I'd always think, oh, after this match, I can't wait to go watch a video of boxing, or I want to go back to boxing training. Oh, we have sparring that I don't even think I should waste this energy on this, and I should save myself for sparring and all this. And the two started clashing, and then my ma kind of said, "Look, you're doing too much, and you're tiring yourself out. I'm going back home, going to sleep. Sometimes I forget to go eat. My food be still in the microwave, or I forget to do my homework and go into class and not have the homework done or nothing and get tension over it. It was kind of a choice I had to make and say, which one do I love more? Which one do I really see myself achieving more, or which one makes me happy more? And I kind of said to myself, I prayed about it, got on my knees and prayed to kind of God, and I just kind of said, show me the way, which one is for me. Whatever you have destined for me, please shine a light on it. And funny enough, he showed me the way to to boxing. Do you know what I mean? And I just fell in love more and more and more with it. And once I gave my 110% and I fully committed to it, the sky was the limit. I went from there and then entered in the Celtic Box Club and the novices and and from winning those and being in those competitions, it kind of said, yeah, this is for me. This is where I'm meant to be. This is my world. This is where I'm going to have a lasting legacy.
With you being such a competitive person, obviously, how did you take defeat as an amateur? Did you find that it made you hungrier? Did it? I guess sometimes it can happen one of two ways. You sort of blame other people or blame other things or just improving yourself. How did you find taking defeat as an amateur?
Funny enough, when I took my first defeat, I think it was my first defeat was in the multi county, right? And I preparation wise wasn't the great. I faced a lot of problems outside of boxing that kind of affected a lot of things. Those family issues. So going to that competitions, I wasn't 110%. I knew that myself. To be honest, if I was kind of more wiser to the sport, you know, I would have kind of said to myself, so there's no point to you, but I had family, friends, and everyone come and watch me, and that was my first major competition being in, and I was like, I couldn't let them down, and so I still went with it, knowing I wasn't 110%. I'd probably say I was about 55% going into that competition, and I drew a tough kid in the first one. I think he was from England. That's my first time fighting an English fighter. And going in first round, you're feeling yourself. I'm moving. I'm avoiding punches, and then the first jab lands after a while because I started getting tired because my fitness wasn't there. And when I When the first jab hit me in the face, it was kind of set. That's when I kind of knew, oh, this is going to be a long day because this kid came game, and I dug deep. I dug as best as I could, but mentally I defeated myself before I really uh, really give it 110%. I tried my best to get myself out of the starting lineup, but I couldn't. And he bet me in the end, which he deserved at the end of the day. But when I lost, it was the most devastating thing ever because I blame myself. I go, look, if you weren't 110%, you shouldn't have done it. Even that, you should have prepared better. You should have fucking, sorry for cursing, keep cursing. You should have put the head down. You should have, separated the two worlds, your outside world and the boxing world, because they always kept on, clashing. And that's when I kind of got a wake up call of always having two separate lives, never mix the two. If you leave the gym, that's you. Francie of the gym stays in the gym until you come back into the gym. Now it's the Francie of the normal, of the real world. Because we're two people. The way I look at it, us boxers are like superheroes. We train 24/7, we're fitter, we're faster, we're stronger. So we're in a real terms where we're weapons and we're heroes. So when you stop being a hero, you leave the cape in your lair. That's the way I look at it. So I went into the back. Everyone there seeing me. Oh, Francie, you did great and all this. But I walked past everyone because I was ashamed. It was hurting. That was my first defeat, and I went back. And I won't lie to you, as a man, I cried like a little baby. I cried. I broke down in tears. I got the rude awakening. I was like, am I gonna really make it in this sport? Because I got my head punched in. Even though if I look back on it now, I actually did a lot better than I thought I did. You know what I mean? And for me, I felt like I got punched from round one to the end round. I didn't do this, I didn't do that. But watching back on a few tips that people said I did actually great, to be honest, for someone that didn't really prepare to the best of capability. Well, for me, it was painful. The coaches tried to calm me down. Nothing was happening. The other boxers in the room see me fucking break down, crying, and I didn't care less. It was about me, and I only blame myself, and I really hated myself for it. And since that day, I said to myself, I am going to punish myself. I am not going to allow this ever to happen again. And if it does, I will make sure I've given it 110, not even 110, 210. And from then, birthday, Christmases, family events, as parties, social life, cut straight out. I think my friends could be a great testament to that. I literally disappeared off the face of the map. You would not find me unless you were in the gym. To a point where in Arbor Hill, I got the keys to the gym. Do you know what I mean? I was the first one in there, the last one out every single time. I think 2 or 3 years straight of non-stop grinding, working, pushing, everything. And that's what led me to winning the novices 3 times. That's what led me to the Celtic Box Cup, so on and so forth. And it what kind of showed me and said, look, boxing, it can be a cruel, cruel woman. Now, if you're not prepared, she will expose you real bad. But if you prepare yourself, at least if you lose, you can lose with dignity, always. And if you win, you can win with pride, no matter the way you look at it. So don't cheat yourself into the sport. Do it the right way. And that's the first lesson I learned. And then from there, I think that's what kind of set me on the path of having that Mamba mentality.
Do you think it obviously? I always seem that the Celtic Box Cup always seems to be a great experience for obviously people turning pro. Did you find winning the Celtic Box Cup give you that confidence in turning over?
Oh yes, 100%. It made my mind up. You know what I mean? Coming into the sport, no one knew of me, no one heard of me, no one knew who I was, what I was about. And coming in as a dark horse and then going up against top quality lads that have been in it before and beating one after another, after another. And then just even in front of people, amazing from all over places, just for this one competition made me say, if this is like this in the amateurs, God, and imagine what it's like in the pros. Because I always said to myself going into the into boxing, I wanted to be a pro because I watched Roy Jones Jr. So I said to myself that day, uh, I wanna be pro. So I knew that the steps of becoming a pro was going through the amateurs first. I had to be a student of the game. I had to pay my dues. I had to learn under the trade. I couldn't just jump from A to D. You know what I mean? And I'm glad actually after it helped me see the levels and what you had to go through. And the majority of the stuff that I went through in amateur prepared me for what I was going to go into the pros. I met a lot of great people, made a lot of great friends, made a lot of great connection, and it kind of got me out there in a way as well. And when I won the Celtic Box Cup, it got me out even more, and which which kind of set the foundation for me to say after winning that I was like, nah, I think it's time to turn over because I always had the itch to turn over, always had the itch, and then slowly but surely we got there. Then
The obviously then the realization to turn pro. I guess everybody always, in the amateur gyms growing up, you want to be a professional boxer. I think that belief sort of set sometimes on social media that boxers are millionaires. We're seeing it now. Obviously, the
yeah,
Instagram lifestyles and probably people acting out of obviously where they aren't. But obviously the realization then when you turn pro and you probably boxing for very little, or you're having to put your hand in your pocket to box. How did that realization kick in that the boxing wasn't all about money? It was obviously you're having to work hard to get where you want to go.
oh, that's what people think. Like people think, oh, we're a professional boxer, we're making it in, we're making serious amounts of money, we're doing this, we're doing that. Like they'll see me, like when people see me in Spain or they see me in Germany or they see me all over the place fighting, they think, oh, he's getting money and or they're paying him. It's far from it. Like it's boxing is one of the hardest sports in the world. Majority of the time, when you're building your record up and getting that experience, you're putting hands into your own pocket. You're putting hands into your life savings, hands into money that you've worked for that you know you needed to either pay the bills or pay for the food, in general and it's hard. It's extremely hard. People don't know the backstory of boxing. I wish I could, have someone that could follow me from my career till now, and then people would really understand how hard it is for a lot of boxers to just get ends meet in a way, you know what I mean, to survive and to still chase your ambitions. Till this day, I'm still going and I'm 27 now and I know a lot of people that were in the high performances that have achieved more than me, went to the Olympics, won 6, 7 time Irish, youth and all this, and they've all packed it in. Half of them have packed it in. Some of them haven't even turned pro. You know what I mean? I'm still going. I'm still going strong, and then it shows how hard it is. People that were supposedly the next big things to come out of Ireland have packed it in. Have said, "Yo, look, I'm calling it a day." You know what I mean? And I get to see a few clips of them. Half of them have gotten, God forgive me, have gotten massive. Life has hit them. They have kids, they have family. They don't talk about boxing anymore. But I get a few messages here and there saying, "Wow, Francie, I didn't think it'd keep going for this long." You know what I mean? And they're truthful, like, and I'm glad they were. They're like, "Wow, you really have dedication, and you really have the love for the sport because you're going strong, no matter how hard it is." Like, I've been to Luxembourg, I've been to Spain, I've been to Germany. You know what I mean? All over testing myself to better myself, and all that costs us money. You know what I mean? And when you have people that don't think you're gonna go far in the sport, majority of the time you're relying on yourself and the people that really truly believe in you. And luckily, I have amazing friends like Issei and Ozzy Jay and all these people around me, um, and my family as well that believe in me. That sometimes they will come out of their own pocket. Here's a grant. Here, this is for your career. I believe in you. I know you're gonna make it. And or here's two, or here's 500, or here's this. You know what I mean, to help me get through it. And when they really see me struggling, and I'm grateful for these people, and that's why these people are my family for life. You know what I mean? And I always have these people in a close heart. It's not easy. If you don't have people that believe in you, it's really hard. So when you see people pack it in, don't say, ah, why did he do that? He's just probably all about the drink and all this. It's not. When you have bills to pay, you have a body to feed, you have a missus to look after, and you have a house, you have a car, you have a mortgage, and all this to look after. It isn't easy. You know what I mean? That's why to this point, I don't really things that I don't need. I don't see the point. I don't invest in or I don't have. Like I don't have a car. Why? Because it's pointless. I'm always traveling left, right, and center. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm always on the move. So it is hard. So people really need to respect boxers more and give them the dues. Any boxer out there, amateur or and when we get there, I don't think it's because everything was handed to us. We really had to graft. Some people have it easier than others, but the ones that are coming from the ground up, we really, really have to graft and nothing but love and respect for people in this industry as me, because it's not easy. So, people out there, pay respects to your boxers. We don't live the high life. You know what I mean? So always support your local boxer. And when he does have a fight, make sure you do get a ticket because it goes a long way. It puts food on his plate. It feeds his family and it helps them prepare for the next fight. You know what I mean? That's why we push hard when it comes to selling tickets because without tickets or without the fans, we ain't going nowhere. You know what I mean? It's a standstill.
So we're just picking this back up with Francie. Obviously, I probably guess sometimes we probably don't realize sometimes we can how much we can talk. They always say it's good to talk, and we were going
Yeah,
obviously it's over so far on your amateur career and everything you've been to date. Unfortunately, Zoom sort of cut you off after 40 minutes as well. So we're picking this back up. We just spoke on the the lifestyle that obviously people think that boxers have, and having to graft and having to rely on other people to help. Obviously, making your professional debut in 2018, did you sort of did it sort of feel you leave and wanting more? Obviously, having that first success as a pro, you obviously like you didn't even go on the normal route of obviously a journeyman as well. You were beating a fighter obviously with a live record. Um,
yeah,
Sam Jones, who was obviously 6-1 at the time. Was it just that
yeah.
sort of that buzz and getting a stoppage win in your debut as well? And you're going, this is amazing. How was that feeling for you?
Oh, it was the best feeling in the world. Like I didn't like when people started telling me these records and they're like, oh, my mates were panicking. They're like, Francie, no, no, this is too fast. This is too soon. You're making your debut. This guy's 6-1. He bet six people and only lost one. I didn't at the time. I didn't understand what they meant or what they said. I just felt like, go on. I'm having 8 ounce gloves on. I'm gonna go in no top, no vest, no headgear razzmatazz. I'm gonna do a Roy Jones Jr. And that's when the entrances and everything. I just planned everything in my head, and it just said it has to be perfect. This is like it has to be perfect. This is my breakout to the world. This is my debut. So it had to be the best thing for me. Everything had to be right, and God willing, thank you. He made everything right from the entrance, from the performer, from walking out, the mask, the head, and then to going in and fighting Sam Jones and then stopping him as well. Everything was memorable that night. Was beautiful and I could never forget it to this day. That's why if you're gonna make your pro debut, and this is why I firmly believe if people are gonna buy tickets to your fight, if you're that type of person, if you're not and it's out of comfort zone, then I don't suggest it. But if you're that type of person that likes to showboat, that likes the charisma and everything, and that likes to give people their money's worth, then do it by all means. It's your night. It's your time. No promoter, no manager can tell you not what way to come out. You're in charge. It starts with you. It ends with you. Simple as you're the one selling tickets. You're the one bringing your crowd. So why not come out and give your supporters what they want? And that's what I did. I showed people, listen, I don't care what the Irish stigma is. Oh, stay quiet, don't stand out. We don't like people that stand out. Just go in, box, and then go home. I'm not your average Joe. I'm Francy Luzoho. I'm different. You know, I'm black and Irish. I do things different. I'm a happy man. I dance. I like giving people their money's worth, and that's what I did. I went out. I did me, and then finding out I was the first ever Irish boxer to come out with a live performance was the that's history in itself. I think that's one of the lads said that's history. No one else has done it before. So I'm in Irish history. You know what I mean? So it just shows when you are you and you do you, you achieve great things. And that's what I did. So for the first time, I already achieved something in history. And then I'm going out doing something that makes you say, wow, you know what I mean? This kid is going far. So I just showed what I'm about and who I am as a fighter.
They always say be yourself, and obviously if people can't love you when you're being yourself, then there's no point being fake to be liked. The I guess obviously everybody always is going to ask the reasoning behind the mask. Is it just so? Is it one of the theories that your opponent doesn't see who you are until obviously you take the mask off in the ring? You know, what's the theory behind the mask?
A lot of people ask me that, and it took me like when it first came out. I never knew myself, but I always knew every time a fight got announced or it was go time, I would change. I wouldn't be the same person. A lot of people said it that were around me during weight cutting and everything. Obviously, when you're weight cutting, you're quiet and all that, or aggressive, whatever how people are. Anyways, for me personally, I'm quiet. I'm more zoned in. I don't really laugh as much. I kind of you know keep to myself. But I've noticed during those process, I change every single time, and it's like a different fancy comes out, and that's when I kind of dove into it, and I found out it's my alter ego. So the Butcher Boy for me, since my name being Fancy and being an Irish film called The Butcher Boy, and the main character in it being the Butcher, being called Fancy, and the film being called The Butcher Boy, it kind of gave me a different alter ego, a kind of person that wants to go and hurt his opponent, do what he needs to do to win, have that charisma, have that showboat, and have that enjoying himself, and that's where it came from. So the mask is not me; it's the fighting Francie. It's the Black Irish Francie. It's the pain, the suffering, the adversity Francie, the Mamba mentality. That's the whole different me. After the fight, I'm back to smiling, I'm laughing and everything else, and that's that person gone. But when it's time to go to war, that's when the mask comes out, and that's when that Francie comes out. You know what I mean? So yeah,
You
it'll
know
be
what
ultimately.
you know when the mask comes on, that's it. It's time to fight. It's a strange feeling because you know it's the first time I've obviously ever spoke to you in person, obviously before today, and you you know you come across as a very genuine, very polite sort of person, and you sort of go, you know, boxers have screws loose, and like where does that switch change? Whereas you know when you put on that mask, it's go time. You know that's your
Yeah,
method then where you're going. People know then don't speak to Francie. He's in war mode.
yeah, literally, like they know when it's time to go. It's time to go. Like when they see the mask, they know what time it is. My whole team knows that. First time, it was a shock to them because they never seen like one of my mates said it to me, came to me, goes, I seen you in the changing room doing pads, and there was veins popping out of you left, right, and center. But when I tried to come up to you and wish you luck to the fight, I felt a certain presence or a certain heat coming off you, which kind of said to me, which made his hair on his back stand up, and it kind of said to him, "Listen, don't approach him." So I kind of let off a certain aura where it made my own best mate say, "Oh, let me not approach him. Let me just leave him to his stuff. Let him do what he needs to do." And he told me afterwards, and I was like, "Really, Rod? That's mad." Honestly, you should have just came up and fist bumped me. But that was me saying it now after a fight. But in that period, yeah, it probably was best not to come near me. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But yeah, it's crazy. The alter ego is mad. Like that's why I say us boxers have screws. We have screws. It's crazy.
They obviously the defeat to Martin Quinn. Does it still sort of? I guess sometimes when people look at it, I know we're 3 years past the Martin
Yeah,
Quinn fight, but do you still sort of look at it sort of in a way? It was obviously a contentious decision and everything else, but do you still look back on that and go? it's one that you can't put right. I don't know if obviously Martin's obviously going to continue boxing. I guess boxing in the south of Ireland now isn't probably what it was in 2019. Do you see that as obviously sour taste in the mouth that you obviously couldn't
It's
obviously fix that
one
wrong?
thing. One thing I've tried everything in my power to fix that wrong. He knows. Majority of the people knows. I had judges that judged the next fight because I had the referee judging my fight. But the next fight had judges, and I had all the judges. And this is on my ma's life. I don't talk shit. I say how it is. I only speak the truth. I don't need to prove anything to anyone at the end of the day. And I had judges come up to me, say, "Son, lad, you won that fight," even though that's been my first six rounder, and it was everything was stacked against me. The weight cutting was mad. That's the first time I knew, wow, weight cutting is not easy. Um, but yeah, I had judges coming up to me. I had multiple people coming up to me saying, "Look, you won that fight. I don't know what happened there." Judges were telling me literally, like, I mean, not one judge, not two judges, but three judges coming up to me and, "Lads, you won that fight." Seriously, no joke. I don't know how they gave it to that kid. You know, I hurt him multiple times. I can honestly put hand on my heart. I think the only round I would give him was the fifth because I was gone. I was gone. Like I had no energy. I had nothing else. But I had nothing left in the tank. And funny enough, people don't even know in the fifth, no, in the fourth round, I gave it so much that this house shows how much fighting means to a fighter, to me as well. I pushed my body to so far even though the weight cutting was extremely hard, I was weak to a point. That was my first six rounders. I pushed my body so far. When it came to the fourth round, I tore my quad in that fight. So my mom was the first person to notice it. So during the whole fight, I was limping. So I was going on basically survival mode. The adrenaline kicked in. I could feel stings going through my leg. I could feel my legs swelling up. Nobody knew that. My corner didn't even know that when I went back because I didn't tell them. But I was literally fighting on one leg. And nobody knew that till this day. And only my team knew that because afterwards I had to go to the hospital. My leg was swollen massively, so I had to go to emergency. And they were like, "Yeah, yeah, you tore your leg, so it's like go home, literally." And I was like, "No, I can't." People came out. I'm gonna have to go out with them and say thank you to everyone, even though we lost. I still have to pay respects to the people that bought tickets and came to show support. So they gave me massive painkillers just to stop the pain and all. But for me, I knew I won that fight. He knew he won. He knew I won that fight. You can see by the celebration. The reason why he won that fight is because he had Phil Sutcliffe in the corner. Who doesn't know Phil Sutcliffe? Do you know what I mean? That's already you have him in your corner. That's already 1 point ahead. But one thing I can say, I've tried everything in my power to make the fight happen. I've had him give me his word as a man to say the fight will happen, but then he went back on his word. Um, uh, his went back on his word saying that he'll fight me. Didn't happen. Literally had him on the phone. We were arguing back and forth. He could tell you that himself now. So there's no lying on my end here. That we're talking and talking. He's telling me about some person called Butch. I didn't know who this Butch person was. He said he was from Pete Taylor's gym. I didn't know who he was. No disrespects to him, but I didn't know who he was. He was saying he's the best trainer in Ireland. Didn't have a clue who he was. So I'm just on the phone. I was like, yeah, no disrespect to whoever he is. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about you and me. Is this fight happening? Yes or no? He goes, listen, listen. If this fight happens, right, and I beat you because he thinks he's God's given gift. He said, if I beat you, son, we shake a hand and we say who the better man is. I'm a man of my word. I don't care if I get bet. I get bet at the end of the day. But I know I won't get bet. So I goes, yeah, let's get it done. So I go to him. You are giving me as a man, you're giving me your word. We're gonna have this fight again. And he goes, yes, as a man, I give you my word. I goes, calm, still. We ended the conversation there. I should have recorded it. I should have recorded. That was my mistake. And the fight never. Few moments or the next day later, his team came out with a comment on Boxing Ireland, I think, saying we're not going to go backwards. What's the point of going backwards? We're going to go forwards. And then they went forwards, and then they lost the next fight. So then after that, which I'm not celebrating over his loss. It's painful to lose. I would never celebrate someone lost. And I felt for him, do you know me? Because he was looking forward to the fight. He was in a different country, so You know, I was actually rooting for him to win because I knew if he won, the fight would have happened. But the fight didn't happen. He didn't win. He lost to a game kid, and the fight never happened. Nobody heard of him since, and it was sad. So it kind of left a salty taste in my mouth. I wish the fight would have happened because I know 100% where I am now. There's no chance. I'm more experienced. I'm wise. I know my body. I've been through it all. There's no way in hell this fight is going more than 2, 3 rounds. 2, 3 rounds max because I have so much pain, so much disappointment. Because that day, me, Ozzy, and Issei, we all cried that day because they seen how hard I worked. They seen how where I was going because my foot was in the door. Imagine how I had to bet Martin Quinn after my second, sixth round, how much of hype, how much traction I would have built from that fight. So I knew this was a big occasion for me to step on the scene and literally head towards stardom. So my foot was basically in the door. Winning that fight would have put me in a great position. But God being God, he knew that I had to kind of learn my lesson and how cruel the sport was. Because when I lost, the traction bit. I seen who really supported me. I seen the snakes in the grass. I had to cut a lot of people off. A lot of people left in general. So you seen the kind of cruel people that were in the sport. I seen when I lost the people that were talking highly of me, talking shit about me, saying I'm this, I'm rubbish. He's not even Irish, this and that. I seen racial. I was getting hit from left, right, and center, and that put me in a dark, dark place. I went through a patch when I lost that fight. You're at home after you finish celebrating, whenever my legs are swollen. I'm at home. It sunk in. I cried. My missus seeing me. Um, I know I'm doing a lot of crying. It's 3 times I'm crying, but it's all new emotions for me. I've never went through this stuff. Like this is a testament of being a man. So and I'm at home, and at the time my missus was like, "What's going on?" My mates were like, "What's going on?" And I couldn't talk to anyone. I didn't pick up to nobody. I didn't. Legs are swollen again, like the same time in the football situation. Now it's happened again, but I've lost again, and not lost. I've lost in the pro scene. I was heading to stardom. Everything was there to be taken. I was robbed, you know, and it was painful because I knew so heartedly I won that fight. Nobody can tell me I didn't win that fight. Do you know what I mean? And hand on heart, I'd actually give him a round. But bar that, he was getting pinged from left, right, and center. You're coming out of the ring, there's not a scratch on me, but you look at him, black and blue. I have people coming up to me that I don't even know. Oh, he's at the bar. But did you see his face, man? His face is Jesus, Francie. You must have really fucking sat down on them shots. And I'm like, I don't care about his face. I care about the result. You know what I mean? And it was painful. But listen, I felt like everything in life happens for a reason. God wanted me to learn a lesson. And in a way, I'm actually happy that happened because it set me on a path that made me who I am today. It made me into the monster I am because I said to myself, I'll never let myself ever be in that position. Never, ever again. Do you know what I mean? And it made me learn who people really rock with you and who don't. How to spot out for snakes, how to spot out for hype people, hype jobs, how cruel the business is, how cruel managers, promotions, everyone can be when you lose. Sorry, and how much you have to kind of build yourself up, back up, the pain, the heartache you feel, the mental battles you go through by yourself that no one can get you out of once you lose. Wow, I went through a lot of stuff that people in their 12th fight wouldn't have gone through. Do you know what I mean? And it's made me, mentally, I'm 24. And oh, that's basically in a sense saying how much I've gone through the sport to prepare me. And it's beautiful. I love it. I loved it that I lost. I loved it that I went through all that because it made me who I am. And that's what, that's the testament of who I am as a fighter and how much God cares about me because He's prepared me in a way that nothing would ever face me again.
The purge continues. Is this the run that you're on? Your four wins in a row. Is this what the purge is all about? Obviously, I've seen you posting recently about the purge. Is this the purge? Is this the rebirth of Francie? you know, where you had your defeat as an amateur and you worked harder and obviously got over that. Is this obviously now your sort of thing you need it as a professional to have a defeat, to obviously to realize I'm not invincible, and obviously to build on that, you're now 4 straight wins. We're probably now seeing a better Francy than we've probably ever seen.
It's that's what it is. Purge is continuing for me. I'm purging myself. It's breaking away the weak parts of Francie and adding on the stronger parts. So I'm purging the old me and kind of it's like the caterpillar phase. You're in the caterpillar, you're coming out slowly, you're becoming a butterfly. So I'm purging myself basically, making myself better, making myself stronger. Because with each purge, if you watch the film, it's not easy. You go through it, but you come out a different person, you come out stronger, you come out, better, you know how to avoid certain situations, not to end in disaster. It's survival. That's what it is. And each fight is a purge, so the purge continues. Yes, I am purging the opponent, but I'm also purging myself to make myself better, to improve. Hence, you see the opponents and stepping up how tough, how durable, how these people come to fight, which I believe some of these fighters would be most not people that haven't been tested, haven't that are taking these easy opponents. You know what I mean? And for me, having that loss, because being always it's overrated. Like to be unbeaten, you look at the majority of champions, world champions, majority of all of them have been there. Do you know what I mean? So it's not about losing. It's not about winning. It's about sometimes for me, I think it's about facing adversity, coming from it, and seeing how much of a man or how much of a fighter you are to come back from defeat and building yourself back up to that position where you do become world champion or where you do get a belt or where you do achieve greatness. That's what it's about for me. So that's my story. I'm happy to do that story. Do you know what I mean? And I will show people from Dublin, from wherever, whoever follows me, whoever follows my career, that no matter what you go through, no matter what adversity, family, or anything that's happened, disaster that's happened in your life, you can always come back from it. You know what I mean? The setback is always a set up for a great comeback. You know what I mean? So I'm happy. I'm happy. You know what I mean? I'm in a great place I've never been before. You know what I mean? Facing people that are coming to win and coming to take to beat you is brings out the best. You know what I mean? Like my last fight. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say it was my greatest performance because your man came to fight. You need those type of people because when you're in them 12 rounders and you lose a couple of rounds and it's all against you, you have to kind of come back to win it. And that's the type of fights that will say, "Oh, I remember facing this guy." When you're in that fight and you're like, "Okay, it's time to go. Let's go. Get that engine going. I'm coming back. I'm coming back." That's how you do it. I got the W that brought me to the next stage. Now we're going to the sixth rounder, September the 16th.
The future for Francy Luzoho, I've obviously seen you. Obviously, if you want to become Ireland's first black world champion, obviously
Yeah.
there is obviously other Irish fighters. Obviously, Kevin Adjargo, Kevin Adjargo, and
Yeah.
obviously Tommy McCarthy. Is it? I guess obviously big history is obviously what everybody wants. Becoming the
Yeah.
first black Irish world champion. It seems to tag along most people. What is it that gives you that desire? Is it just history? Is that what you want? You want to create something that's going to go down in history and be remembered for years to come?
If you're not in the sport, look, I know I understand people want to become world champions, but like originally, before you even want to become world champion, if you become world champion, it's a legacy in itself. How many people can say they become world champion? How hard is it to become world champion? It's almost like 1% to become world champion because how many fighters are out there? How good are these fighters out there? If you're looking at Top Rank, you're looking at all these big name people on big promotions. So when you say you want to become world champion, people look at you crazy. Like even boxers look at you crazy and like you're saying, "Bro, I've seen you fight. Like you're not that good, or you're not with this promotion, or you're not this." And people look down on you for even saying that. They shun you. That's how the sport is headed to now. Like saying becoming a world champion is blasphemy nowadays, which I find that mad, mad. Even from other boxers, when you say that, they look at you like you're crazy. So it's sad to see that we've had an era where people just are starting to settle for whatever position they're in, and it's sad to see stuff like that. But yeah, for me, it's all about legacy. Like from the same way I made my debut to go in the history books, I want to be the first Black Irish champion. I want to be that person. I want to be that guy that people say, "Shit, what? How did he slip between our fingers?" Like he came under the radar. He did everything he did. He said it from day one, and he achieved it. And we never backed him. We never believed in him. We slated him from sun up to sundown. You know what I mean? And he's achieved it. And for me, it's all about the legacy. I want to leave this earth knowing that when someone says Francy Luzoho, they're like, God damn, that kid was a fighter. He won this, he won that. Wow, he was the best to come out of Ireland. He was even the best to even put on a glove in his era. That's how good I want, and that's how high I want to be put. I want my name to be alongside Muhammad Ali. I have ambitions one day when I do win the world title to do the exact same thing that Muhammad Ali is to take it straight back to Congo and have a world title fight there in Zaire. Straight out, I want to hear people scream Francie, Bomaye. That's what I want to hear. That's
Mm.
my dream. That's my ambition. You know what I mean? So if you're not in the sport to achieve legacy or achieve history or put your name in the books, then what are you in the sport to really do? If it's about money, cool. But if it's not about money, you just want to see how far you go. Okay, that's even better. But like, really, if you're gonna do it properly. Put your we put our life on the line. So why can't you dream the impossible? Because when you achieve the impossible, then it's achievable. I've seen people that said that can't be world champions have become world champions. Look at best example. Look at Ruiz. He fought, and out of nowhere he got that opportunity. Do you know what I mean? You never know. You never know. That's why you keep fighting, you keep progressing, keep bettering yourself. And that phone call could come one day, and it's your time to shine. And that's what I'm holding on to. And that's what if I keep heading the direction I'm heading, stay respectful, and keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to achieve greatness.
Progression, sort of you're building ahead of steam. When should we expect to see you back out in action?
Yeah. So the next plan with my manager Errol and my trainer Shiny, so we're back out September the 16th. Six rounders, so we're stepping it up. We've done it the right way. We've learned um, the first phase of the two religion four rounders against tough kids. So now it's time to step it up to four rounders. Sorry, six
Six
rounders. Sorry.
rounders.
So September, yeah, September the 16th is the next fight out, and yet again it's another step up again. So one thing my team and my trying to do is we don't take easy fights. We always take people that are game, ready to come and fight and test me in certain areas where I need work on to better myself at the end of the day. Like I said, there's some rounds I won't get my way, but it's a testament to who I am as a fighter, how I come back and how I win the fight. I never watch tape. I only um, adapt when I'm in the ring. Last fight and the fight before that, never watched tape, never watched how they fought, never watched who they fought, who they fought before that, what their record is. I never do. The day I see their face and what their picture look like is the day I see them in the ring or when we're walking out. So I even put more even pressure on myself when I don't watch tape. People are like, oh, why don't you watch tape? I go, nah, I'm not about watching tape. So I like to adapt as Mayweather said. I don't go in with a game plan. Once I step in, I just adapt, and from there I see what my plan is and the next move is. I adjust, I adapt, and I execute.
I guess it's a good way sometimes to be, because if you watch video, depending on a certain opponent, they throw a certain punch in a certain way, and you don't want to go, I'm looking for the right hand, and the left hand hits you. So you obviously want
Yeah,
to be able to
exactly.
adapt yourself. Um,
Yeah, 100%.
I'm obviously going to say it's been an absolute pleasure, obviously, having you on and sort of understanding a bit more of obviously who you are and obviously what you're about. Sometimes it's a puzzle when you see people's posts and see their ambition and motivation and things like that. But hopefully, I know it's been a bit of a long interview, but hopefully people stuck into the end and sort of listen to the motivation and drive that Francie has. Um, we'll obviously continue to keep well tuned in and obviously keep up to date with things. And obviously, it'll be great to get you on again sometime in the future.
Always 100%. It's been absolutely great, an honor being on this. Thank you for having me on this. It's been a pleasure. Definitely. Yeah. Again, you just drop me a message. I'm always there. I'm always ready. You know what I mean?
Fantastic. Well, Francie, listen, thanks very much for your time. Obviously, we hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. The sun's shining. And
Yeah.
obviously we'll look
I'm about to go out for a run now, so
we'll look forward to seeing you back out in action soon.
it'll be a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Francie. Take care.
God bless, Sam.
Thank
God
you.
bless.